Let me tell you something important. Something that is happening right now while most people have no idea how big this shift really is. The global economy is quietly changing. Not through headlines, not through panic, not through sudden crashes, but through a slow, powerful realignment that will define the next decade. And whether we like it or not, every one of us is already inside this shift. For decades, the world worked in a predictable way. The strongest economies, the US, Europe, Japan, controlled global markets, technology, resources, and currencies. Their stability became the world's foundation. Developing countries borrowed money, exported raw materials, and followed rules created by others. It wasn't perfect, but it was the system. But that system is now cracking. Inflation is no longer temporary. Prices around the world continue to rise, not because of one event, but because governments printed too much money, supply chains changed forever, and debts became too heavy to manage. Energy is being rewritten. Technology, especially AI, is shifting power at a speed no one can control. And the countries that were once followers are quickly becoming future financial giants. Look at India. 20 years ago, it was only a cheap labor market. Today, it's one of the fastest growing tech forces in the world, building its own chips, AI systems, digital payments, and global companies. Look at regions like Latin America and Africa. For the first time in decades, they are not just exporting raw resources. They're building industries around them. Clean energy, lithium, cobalt, rare earth metals, all of this is becoming the new oil. And the countries that control these materials are gaining leverage like never before. Meanwhile, traditional powers are dealing with rising debt, political division, slower growth, and aging populations. It doesn't mean they're collapsing. It means the balance is shifting. Slowly, quietly, but permanently. And here's the part most people miss. These shifts don't destroy wealth, they move it. Every major economic transition in history created two types of people: those who ignored the change and those who positioned themselves ahead of it. The difference between them is measured in decades of wealth. Right now, money is moving into a few key areas. Real assets, things that hold value when currencies weaken. Technology, AI, automation, energy innovation. Emerging markets, not because they're cheap, but because they're strategically important. And skills, the ability to adapt, learn, and stay relevant as the world changes. But there are risks. Debt pressure on developing countries could create new defaults. AI could widen the gap between rich and poor. Resource nationalism could trigger conflicts and trade wars. And inflation, if mishandled, could hit ordinary people harder than any recession. So what should people do in a moment like this? First, stop relying on cash as your main store of value. Cash loses value fastest in times of transition. Second, focus on real assets, not just gold or land, but anything that produces value. Businesses, energy, skills, even digital assets with real utility. Third, invest in technology, not speculative hype, but the companies building infrastructure for AI automation, cybersecurity, clean energy. Fourth, diversify. The world is not moving in one direction anymore. It's splitting into multiple strong regions: India, Southeast Asia, Brazil, Africa. Fifth, learn. The biggest advantage in the next 10 years won't be money. It will be knowledge. We are living through a once-in-a-generation transformation. This is not the end of the global economy. It's a reset. And resets are where new wealth is created, quietly, steadily, and long before the crowd notices. Some people will panic and fall behind. Some will wait and miss the moment. But the ones who will win are those who understand what's changing and act before everyone else wakes up. If you want to come out stronger, start now. Because the next decade won't reward those who had the most money. It will reward those who understood the shift. Subscribe because the parallels go deeper than you think and the next chapter is already being written.